was of, guys. Is there witness tampering going on in the Idaho court case? Is there possible illegal searches and seizures going on? Personally, in my own opinion, I do believe that. I believe that the fruit of the poisonous tree could possibly going on as well, because of how law enforcement got a hold of Brian's DNA. They used his own father's DNA to get his IgG profile, and I believe that's wrong.
In a criminal investigation, evidence has a tendency to snowball, meaning once one piece of evidence has been found, it often leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to several more pieces. In this way, law enforcement is able to put together a case against you that they will use in court to pursue a conviction. However, if that original piece of evidence is discovered as a result of a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, then all subsequently discovered evidence are tainted with the constitutional violation as well. Not only can the original piece of evidence be prevented from ever being heard in court, but all evidence that was only found because of that original piece of evidence can be suppressed as well. This is called the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Think of the original piece of evidence as being like an apple tree. Because it was illegally planted in violation of the Fourth Amendment, any fruit that comes from it is also illegal as well.
Why are they arguing over the genetic genealogy thing?
You've probably heard somewhere in your travails that there's fruit of the poisonous tree. What they're arguing here basically is that the genealogy investigation, DNA investigation that they did, that there is no scientific, peer-reviewed, or admissible basis for that, and that the techniques that they used have not been validated. And anytime you want to traditionally get DNA admitted for a court purpose, you have to have a hearing. You have to have basically it has to be sanctified, and it has not been done in this case. If that gets thrown out, then they will make the argument that they want to suppress the subsequent investigative swabbing, if you will, of his DNA. And if they get that excluded, then you've got real problems for the prosecution.
So what are the chances that's going to happen?
Well, I will tell you that this is not, a lot of times in motions that you run, you do it for a variety of purposes from the defense standpoint. You protect the record, so to speak. In this case, I think they've got a legitimate issue. And the legitimate issue is, look, if you are telling us, the prosecution is telling us that you do not want to give up your techniques, you don't want to give up what it is or how you did this, and if you readily admit, and by the way, if you talk to many DNA experts, they will tell you this is not something that is a generally accepted scientific technique, that is substantial. So this is something that is not a stretch by any means.
Reports of DNA, his DNA at the murder scene.
All those facts are still sealed. They will come out. I know people are anxious for that, and we will have the answers to that, but in the time that we can give it. So I ask once again, just be patient. I know I've asked that a lot of times, but we are bound by the law now.
We are bound by the law now. So were they not bound by the law when they obtained the DNA profile of Brian? Were they kind of straying outside the bounds of the law? Or were they tiptoeing on the skirts of the law to get this IgG profile on Brian?
And we are bound by the law now.
Authorities tell
Incriminating evidence besides DNA. Why did launcher? Wrong year. Because at first, when they came out, it was a 2011 to 2013. Then it was a 2011 to 2015. And then finally, it was a 2011 to 2016. And the phone pings that don't place him at the scene during the murders.
ABC News that law enforcement tracked Brian Koberger's movements as he made his way across the country.
Once Koberger is back in Pennsylvania, state police are keeping him under surveillance. They're watching everything he does. They see when he goes out at night, taking the garbage in the house and putting it in a neighbor's house, creating a picture that this could be our suspect.
Just before dawn, December 30th, a Pennsylvania SWAT team raided the family home of 28-year-old Brian Koberger and arrested him in connection to the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students.
And I will
Yeah, a SWAT team and the FBI raided his parents' home.
say that we have found an alatra.
Lawyers say none of the victims' DNA was found in Koberger's apartment, home, office, or car. Koberger's attorneys say they should get to see the materials that led to their client being labeled a suspect. Prosecutors do not want to turn that information over to the defense and have asked the judge for a protective order.
It may reveal some information the prosecution doesn't want to be revealed, but the bottom line is, if this
Yes, like an illegal search and seizure that violates his Fourth Amendment rights.
This can help the defense. What if it turns out that there was a procedure that was done faulty, and it turns out that the defense could have gotten an expert to talk about that, and it's hurting the defense team. And while, obviously we do want for this to be the right defendant, and we do want for this case to conclude, if it is wrong, we ought to know that from the beginning. And I think they should turn over what they have.
The attorney needs to know how these family trees have been developed, because we're talking now about trial issues, and the government is introducing the STR profile. They have to introduce statistics that explain the significance of any STR match that the government is identifying as central to its case. And so the defense must investigate ways to cross-examine those statistics and the rarity of that match that the government is attaching great significance to.
If Taylor and her team can prove that a Fourth Amendment violation occurred in the IgG process used, the knife sheath and buccal swab will likely be suppressed. And I think it should be. Just by the actions of Bill Thompson, I think the buccal swab and the knife sheath should be suppressed.
Then you've got real problems for the prosecution.
If you were to take a DNA test of ancestry and want to upload to GEDmatch, when you input that file, it's going to ask you, do you consent to law enforcement matching? And if you hit no, and
why did the FBI visit Gabrielle Vargas after she testified in this hearing? Maybe a little bit of witness intimidation, maybe a little bit of witness tampering. That's something I would like to know, why the FBI visited her home after she testified in this hearing.
I am working violent crime non-doe case. I should not be able to see that you are a match to my unknown DNA contributor.
You said should not.
Should not.
Does it happen anyway?
It does. It has.
And is that because there's a problem with GenMap? It's just if you upload it and all of a sudden they say you shouldn't have and did?
There there are a lot of tools that are available in GenMatch. These tools allow you to make comparisons of two or more people and how they relate to each other and share DNA. One of these tools allows you to compare many matches, not only against your DNA profile that you're working, but also against all of their matches. So if you see that the subject matches one of these people, because again, you're not looking at your subject's matches, you're looking at that person's top cousin, let's say, that top cousin's matches, right? When you put your subject's kit number in there, you're going to
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right.
see now his kit, her kit, compared against the matches of their top match. When you find, you then scroll down and you look, oh, here's a match for 100 centimorgans. You go back to your screen where you have your list of your subject matches and you say, I don't have a match with 100 centimorgans. That proves that that person has opted out of law enforcement matching, but I'm still able to see them.
That proves that that person opted out of law enforcement matching, but I'm still able to see them. Brian's the patsy here. He really is. He's the patsy.
That's a way to use the tool to get past what law enforcement is supposed to do.
I struggle with this. I'm sorry. It is a tool that is provided in the database that essentially allows you to see things that you're not supposed to see. And as a result,
it allows you to see things that you're not supposed to see.
Of seeing those things, you're then using that match to find who, to identify your subject. So you're violating the terms of service by seeing these matches.
Genetic genealogy expert for accused murderer Brian Kohberger claims she received a visit from the FBI after testifying in court for him. That has Kohberger's lawyers asking questions.
Last night, she was visited by two FBI agents and interrogated about her testimony finding of the declaration. That and how it viewed impacts into Kohberger's due process rights and his rights to effective assistance.
Ann Taylor told Judge John Judge that she would file a motion regarding what happens to witnesses after they testify in court. Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained why he asked the FBI to investigate after hearing Vargas might be questioning some of her own testimony.
When we heard that, I reached out to them.
So Bill Thompson asked the FBI to visit Vargas. He's trying to sink the defense's case. He's trying to scare the defense witnesses into not testifying for Brian. So he's sicking the federal government on them.
investigators and said, can you find out what's going on? And the FBI indeed undertook an investigation. And clear reports are that Ms. Vargas claims that some forms in her declaration she inadvertently agreed or signed without fully reading it. We're documenting that so we can expose it to Ms. Taylor. And,
Your Honor, that's certainly different than the information that I received. I would have been happy to be advised about that, but I'm not sure that's accurate. I mean, I'm sure that things responsible. I'm not saying they're calling him a liar, but the quality of the information he's received, I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. My hope is that these two FBI agents sat to look at Ms. Vargas' home last night. And hopefully they reported everything that they talked to her about, and that should resolve the issue of that.
Now Thompson has told the court he will not cross-examine the witnesses that Taylor called to testify about genetic genealogy. But there are questions about whether the FBI agents visiting Vargas was proper. FBI agents do not typically record interviews or wear body-worn cameras. It's not clear whether that happened in this case or whether the agents simply took notes about the meeting with Vargas. The prosecution has filed information related to that under seal with the court, so the public cannot see it.
Together with the DNA, the police finally had their suspect.
If they had not used that forensic genealogy, they might never have identified him. His name gave them the cell phone number, and it wasn't until they got the cell phone number that they could put the cell phone and the car in the neighborhood at the same time.
The arrest of Brian Koberger resulted from several illegal searches and seizures, including the use of genetic genealogy.
Well, it's not something I typically hear about FBI agents going in and visiting a witness after that they have delivered testimony. However, I think a lot of that lies with perception, right? How Mrs. Vargas felt during that discussion. And I would hope that copious amounts of notes were being taken. And I would hope that the FBI has a very good reason. But the interesting thing that I see here is the FBI is not the dominant investigatory team in the Koberger case. So I'm surprised that they were the ones that followed up with this. 2 agents showing up at your front door. I think anyone is going to have a defensive reaction to that, right? Because they're not there for good news typically. And so I do think it would have been much better had Ann Taylor had someone from the defense team accompanying her to a local FBI office for this interview to take place.
And we are bound by the law now.
Enough is enough, guys. How many laws are we going to allow them to break in order to prosecute, convict, and kill Brian Koberger? There is clearly something very corrupt going on in Idaho right now. You have Bill Thompson, who is hiding evidence from the defense. You have clear illegal search and seizure going on here. You have clear witness tampering going on with Bill Thompson sending the FBI to Gabriel Vargas's home to question her. What the heck is going on in Idaho? Are they that desperate to frame Brian for these unalivings? Are they that desperate to kill him with either lethal injection or firing squad? What is going on in this case? Just like what is going on in Delphi. This case is getting nuts. The more and more that comes out about Bill Thompson and the MPD, the more I keep scratching my head and going, what the heck? But like always, guys, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, share my channel, and hit that bell notification for any new uploads. I'm going to keep getting to the bottom of this case, guys, and other true crime cases out there right now. You guys have a good Friday morning and afternoon. This is TCC out.